Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Fear the Walking Dead review. So it's been a while since I've reviewed Fear the Walking Dead. I think the last episode aired at some point in June or in May or something like that. I believe it was in June. And yeah, we're in the last 6 episodes here of Fear the Walking Dead. And was this episode a really great start? I will actually say towards the end, it did really intrigue me in terms of where the story could go. And I have so many thoughts now on Fear the Walking Dead. Just certain elements of the story. This episode honestly just sort of clarified a lot of that, and it really just made it clear where there were some issues, and it's kind of sad looking back overall at Fear the Walking Dead and just seeing how awful this show has been, and it really has not had any direction really at all since season 3. So there are some good things here though to look forward to. There is definitely some moments here with Troy and some of where they're going with the story that I do actually like and I think can make it a little more exciting. And so, yeah, before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my reviews like this. I apologize that this video is out really late. I just had a really long weekend and couldn't really get videos out the last couple of days. And I was really sick yesterday. And today I've just been sort of feeling a little bit more back to normal. And so I've been playing Spider-Man 2 a lot with my son. And so, yeah, that's just been a lot of fun. We're so far into the game too. Like we've been playing hours and hours and hours. I think the other day we played like 7-8 hours, and today we played at least like 4 or 5 hours. I don't know. We're a good like almost 20 hours into the game, I would say for sure by now. But yeah, really enjoying it. But let's talk about Fear the Walking Dead here. So the premiere, or I guess the finale, like this is some news that dropped earlier this week, and the finale is now going to be on the 19th instead of the 26th of November, and that is because they're going to be doing a 2-part finale for Fear the Walking Dead. And I will say I'm at the point now where I'm totally okay with it. Actually, like my first reaction to it was like, that's really unfortunate because could you imagine if they did a 2-part finale, like a sort of 2-part episode thing for The Walking Dead? Like imagine if the last moments, you couldn't savor that much. Like there was something about watching that very final episode. And with Fear the Walking Dead, we're now going to have to watch 2 final episodes. Like, it just feels very weird. But I will say, though, my opinion has totally changed on it now after watching this episode. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's just get this over and done with now. I have some thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead. There was a way that this show could have been good. I just think that you really should have kept Dave Erickson as the showrunner. I think if he was the showrunner to this day, this show would be so much better than what it is right now. Like he actually had a vision for where the show could go, and it really focused on the Clark family, which was sort of the heart of everything. And there was a scene here, specifically Troy's reintroduction to the show, where he is speaking with Madison and Strand, and there was a certain feel I got there when Daniel was there and stuff where I was like, oh, this is classic Fear the Walking Dead. It didn't necessarily feel like it, but I felt a hint of it. So I was like, oh, this is really good actually. And it just makes me really sad to think of what actually happened to Fear over the years. But let's actually get into the story here. I'll talk about this a little bit more later on throughout my review here. But yeah, Strand goes by the name of Anton now. And this is something that I found just to be really silly. Like it's a lot of stuff like this that I just don't like in terms of story writing. Like there's just no reason to do that. Like people have done bad things and all of that. I get it. But to change your name, it's just like these are things that people do in general with like bad stories and stuff. Is like, oh, this person changed their name and they have like this really scary past kind of thing, and they don't want to be that person anymore, so they change their name. It's just like, I don't know, honestly, I just wasn't a fan of it because I knew where this was going. It's so predictable to where it's going, though I like the reveal of it later on during the Troy scene. I'll talk about that when we get to that moment. I also have an issue with the fact that Strand has another tower. Like, what? Like, out of nowhere, he just has this other hotel. And I do like, just his messaging there and what he's trying to do. He's trying to, give people a second chance, and he's trying to help people here. He's really turned his life around, and, he wants a second chance because he's done some really bad things. And so he's doing all of this here to give people that, and so I like a lot of that. A lot of that stuff makes a lot of sense. It's just hilarious that it's another tower, and it feels so fast because he just had the tower in season 7. But we got to remember that there was a really crazy time jump, right? It's just that it's hard to forget that because, yeah. And so I don't know, like the second I saw that Strand was in a tower, I was like, there's no way they're doing this again. But obviously I think they are going in a totally different direction here because that tower is basically gone. It was sort of an episode 1 thing because I do think they're going to be going back to Padre. So I'm totally cool with that. As much as people don't really like it, I actually like the fact that the show felt so like insane, like just like happy, and it was just so different. And all of a sudden there was like this crazy change in like contrast of the story. And then all of a sudden Strand was like very just like scared and all of that the second that he saw Madison, because it was like he was living this fake life and whatever. He's just happy and, he's ignoring his past, this and that. And I really like that approach, because like usually the approach would be from like Madison's point of view, right? Being in that hotel. And then all of a sudden Strand shows up and it's like, whoa, what? I like the fact they actually took Strand's point of view. Strand is just living so happy and just kind of whatever. And then he walks into this room and then he sees Madison and it's just like this death stare. And he's like, oh no, kind of thing. And everything just got so messed up for him at that point. I actually really did like that right there. But I was thinking about this afterwards, because then, after he was like, well, no, I'm Anton and stuff. And then Madison is getting frustrated by that. Like at this point, I was like, I don't know how Fear got so bad like this in terms of the story. And I really think it's just the showrunners. I just don't know if they know how to really tell a complete story, because it really feels like since season 3, everything's been a mess. There hasn't been anything that has felt coordinated and like there was a goal and we were going here kind of thing. When you look back at the first 3 seasons, there was a general sort of, they were trying to survive. You were following the Clark family trying to survive. It just completely became, I don't even know what, in season 4. And it is very, very unfortunate. Honestly, Fear suffered so much from the Morgan crossover. The Clark family suffered so much, but I also don't even want to put it on that. Like the Morgan crossover could have probably worked really well. I just don't know if the showrunners were the right people to do it. Even with Dwight, like there was some really cool stuff in season 6, but like still there was just, again, season 6 is that weird season. I don't know why it was so good. It was just really honestly an incredible season. So I guess I'll give that to them. They had the one good season out of 5. So like, yeah, there is that. So there is this group looking for Madison, and they're mad because she's trying to rebuild Padre, and they're like, well, no, we know exactly who she is kind of thing. And I think that's that part there, I guess it makes sense, because Troy obviously told them, who she was and all of that. And there was some confusion with Padre and just sort of what was happening with Padre. I find it so weird that like everyone all of a sudden knows who Padre is, because we were wondering who Padre was forever. And then all of a sudden, it's like everyone knows. It's not even a secret anymore. That part there I find so unbelievable. When I look back to like season 7 and all that, I'm like, why was there such a mystery to this place? That's why I know that the showrunners are saying like they knew, sort of where this was going and everything was sort of planned. I don't know. If this was the plan, I just think it's a really bad plan, because like I don't get it. Season 7, the stuff with Padre, even in season 6 with the bunker and all of that, it seemed like Padre was this really crazy place, and it ended up being really nothing, really like literally nothing at all. Yes, there was a military connection because of what a Padre originally was, but it was no like old governmental thing. It was just like one person who wanted to build something out of like this island or whatever. So I don't know. To me personally, it's been a big, big disappointment. And I don't like anything about this Padre storyline. I just want it to be done. And that's the one part about the next 6 episodes that I feel kind of sad about, is that it's likely going to focus on that, or at least I'm hoping it's not going to, though, because there is some stuff that it does seem like they're actually going to go in a more funner direction. I think the stuff with Troy and Alicia, or Troy versus Madison, that could be a lot of fun. Honestly, I think that's going to be amazing. I did like the scene, though, where Strand was like scared of Daniel, and so he like ran away. I just thought that was really cool, because like Daniel, again, like he's a really terrifying person to be around, especially for Strand, right? Like Strand and Daniel go back, and there's a lot of complex history there. They do not like each other. And so, yeah, for Strand to see Daniel there, he was just like, no, I'm not dealing with this, and just like ran off. A lot of the dialogue, I will say too, in this episode is just kind of off and feels very cringy. Just, I don't know if it's the acting or if it's the dialogue. There's something there that feels really off. And I was mentioning this in my earlier season 8 review of Fear the Walking Dead. It was like episode 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there is where I noticed it, where the dialogue was just too awful. And so I noticed it here. It seems like this is going to be a trend. Like it is what it is, I guess, at this point. The whole reveal at the end, and so that's sort of the point of the episode here, is Troy does return at the very end, and it is very exciting. There's parts about it that are honestly really, really amazing. And yeah, the reveal, first of all, of Strand and why he went by Anton and all that, I think a lot of that was very, very silly, just because they thought they were going to die and all that, so he had to say everything right then. I was just like, I knew this was coming, and this is sort of, and that's my whole thing here. And I think that's what these showrunners do a lot, is they create random problems just to be conflict for later on, and then they just go back on it. Like Dwight and Sherry, like they broke up, but they're going to get back together at some point, I'm sure. Like, it just seems to always be a thing. There's a lot of certain story things where like, well, we're going to do this to do this, but then we'll come back and do this afterwards. Like, I don't know. To me, it's just really lazy writing. Like, I don't see this being a thing in The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. Like, that show was just honestly amazing. Like, and Dead City. Even The Walking Dead towards the end didn't have anything like that. Like, everything just made a lot of sense. And so Fear the Walking Dead, I'm kind of happy that the show is ending because we have such amazing shows out right now. Like Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Live, Dead City, like really, really high quality shows. And there's nothing you can really pick apart in any of it. I had one negative thing to say about the Daryl Dixon show, which was when he fell through the roof. It felt like he should have kind of noticed at first and like stepped back, but he just kind of fell through. Like, that was the one thing I criticized. Other than that, the show was just absolutely phenomenal. Dead City, there was the arena scene or whatever, but besides that, whole show was phenomenal. So like, I think Fear the Walking Dead is just, I can see why they're having a 2-part premiere. I think they just want to get this show sort of over and done with now, and they want to focus on these higher quality shows, which I think most fans, or not most fans, all fans, I feel like, want that entirely, right? But the reveal of Troy, I think, to me, first of all, was really amazing. And also the whole thing of when he says, like, my name is Victor Strand, like when he actually says that, it was honestly really emotional. And I felt it there. I think the acting from everyone involved there was just absolutely outstanding. And that's the thing about this show, is you can see the talent there from a lot of the actors. It's just that the writing around it is what is awful. The acting is there. You know, there's some side characters that I feel like aren't the best actors, but like overall, the majority of like the main characters and stuff and everything else, like it works really well. And you can see why they were casted early on in season 1 and what made that show really good in the beginning, right? So that reveal there, I actually felt that when Strand said, you know, my name is Victor Strand, and just the emotions that, you know, he and his family felt then because he was revealing the truth of who he was. It made sense. I actually started to kind of feel something there. And it's kind of crazy considering that we just like jumped into that storyline, but I did actually feel something there because you do got to remember, like, there was like a big time jump of like 6-7 years or something, right? So there's been a really long time. Strand has been with this family for a very, very long time. Like they are a family now. And so for him to reveal something like that was really, really big. And, you know, he broke his family's heart. And I'm interested in seeing where that goes now. Like I really am interested in seeing exactly where that goes for Strand and stuff. That's going to be kind of exciting for the season. But again, I think that Troy, his return, seeing Strand, seeing Madison, or like specifically Strand and Madison together, Daniel saving them, and then Troy's there. Like it was just that whole scene. And just the way Troy's kind of talking and all that, and brought up Alicia and Madison wanting to kill him. It was just like, this feels like season 3. Like that actually felt really awesome. But it's unfortunate because obviously you can't really go back and do that. You know, there was the whole Proctor John story. There was quite a bit back then that people were so excited about, but they'll never be able to go back anymore and do that. And it's nice that they are ending it in this way, I guess. So we're getting some sort of version of this. I'm interested in seeing where it goes because I think that this actually was exciting, you know, towards the end. I think Madison wanting to go and kill Troy because he, you know, killed Alicia. I do think he's lying, by the way. I'll probably do a video talking about this later. But yeah, that motivation for the next 5 episodes here, I think makes a lot of sense for like the ending here. I'm totally cool with that. So overall, if I had to rate this episode anything, I would have to give it like a 5 out of 10, I think. Maybe like 5 or 6 out of 10. I think the episode was just all right. It was okay. But there was actually some exciting stuff with Troy's reintroduction at the end where I'm kind of excited to see what Madison plans to do now and just, you know, her whole revenge thing right now. So I'm excited to see that. We'll see where this goes. I do think, you know, the next couple of episodes are going to be a little bit better than this one here, because this one here had to set up quite a bit of stuff between Madison and Strand. So we'll have to see where it goes here, obviously, over the next couple ones. But yeah, definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.